Good morning. Welcome, everybody. We got about 1 minute. So I will do some housekeeping things real quick. Welcome to the WIOA Title I RFP Review Subcommittee meeting of the Local Workforce Innovation Board for LWIA 23. I'm Jamie Porta-Hijawi, if you don't already know me, and I think just about all of you do, the Director of Local Workforce Board, and I'm facilitating the discussion today with the help of Jason Warfel, who is the appointed subcommittee chair as of this weekend. A couple quick things to keep in mind before we call the meeting to order is that this meeting is being recorded. So please be mindful of what comes across your microphones or your cameras, as it is a matter of public record. If you don't mind, please keep your microphone muted when you are not speaking to minimize background noise and interference. And since this is a special meeting, not a regular meeting, but a special one, keep in mind that we are limited to talking and taking action on only a single agenda item, and no other business can be discussed at this meeting. All attendees who are not members of the subcommittee, please hold all of your questions and comments until the public commenting period. The purpose of today's meeting is to evaluate the proposals submitted for the WIOA Title I service provider contract. This is a very important decision that will shape the future of workforce development in our communities, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to engage in this discussion with all of you. So with that, I will turn it over to Chair Warfel to call the meeting to order.
All right, thanks, Jamie. At this time, we'll call the meeting to order. The first item is any disclosures of any conflicts of interest by any of the committee members.
Can we do roll call real quick, because I don't see
Carol. Oh yes, I'm sorry.
Yet.
Yep.
We have Jason, and then Aaron Hacker.
Here.
Awesome. And then Carol Tracy. I don't see her in a waiting room. 2 out of 3, we do have a quorum, so we can continue, and hopefully she'll just hop on in a minute or two. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the conflict of interest disclosure, sorry.
Okay, no, thanks, Jamie. At this time, is there any conflict of interest amongst the 2 of us committee members? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 3, which is review of the Title I service provider proposal evaluations.
Now, I will go ahead and lead that discussion, and I just want to thank you all, especially the organizations that submitted proposals, as well as the members of the committee for reviewing them. Your presence here today reflects our shared commitment to workforce development and community engagement. So I just want to put out some basic ground rules. First is respect. Let's be respectful of all attendees and be professional, even if we disagree on certain points. And let's keep our discussion focused on the issues at hand. Time management. I do want to be cognizant of the value of everyone's time, and that this is a Monday morning and a special meeting. And we could have this discussion drag on for quite a while because there's a lot of good stuff in the proposals. But let's be mindful to stay on track and move through the discussion quickly. Keep in mind, we are being transparent. This is open to the public, and transparency is paramount. All discussions and decisions will be conducted with transparency and accountability, of course. And be constructive with your feedback. Focus on constructive criticism and actionable suggestions. Our goal is to help the organizations understand what we liked about the proposals and what fits in with our area and our objective as a local workforce board. So looking at the 2 proposals, one from CEFS, which I will run together and call CEFS as I usually do, and then one from Career Team. Both of those proposals looked at or spoke to their background and qualifications and experience in providing WIOA Title I services. They both had plans of service. They had management plans. They spoke on performance attainment, certified quality training that they offer, service strategies. They provided staffing plans and organizational charts. They spoke on their partnerships and collaborations. They had the option to discuss their transition strategies, and their financial management and costs. The evaluation tool was comprised of 95 questions with a value of 5 points for each of those questions, with a total value of 475 points possible. And each proposal has been evaluated based on its merit against these criteria. So instead of going through each of those 95 questions, because that would take a long time, and I know you guys already dedicated a lot of time going through those yourselves, what we'll do is we'll look at each of the proposals in general. So after my review, I pulled out a few key highlights that I wanted to make sure was at the forefront of everyone's minds. The CEFS proposal included 19 letters of support from past WIOA service or WIOA Title I participants. They offered an extensive list of local businesses with which they partnered. They project to serve 372 participants in Plan Year 24 and 353 participants in Plan Year 25. With 8 career planners, this would equate to about 46 participants per career planner in Plan Year 24 and about 44 participants per career planner in Plan Year 25. Their projected total training expense rates of 56.6% in Plan Year 24 and 54.8% in Plan Year 25. Career Team's proposal had these highlights: cutting edge innovations in WIOA service delivery processes and supportive technologies to assist, such as Career Edge, an extensive project portfolio of service to diverse populations, tested and proven transition plan, and their projections to serve 510 participants in Plan Year 24, 523 participants in Plan Year 25, with 12 career planners, resulting in a projected caseload of about 42 and about 43 participants per planner for each of those respective years. And their projected total training expense rate across all 3 funding streams would equate to 43.3% in both Plan Years 24 and 25. So for each proposal, I'll give each of the reviewers a chance to discuss their impressions and all of the things that impacted the points awarded for each of the organizations. So starting with considering Steph's proposal. Jason, would you do the honors of starting us off with your thoughts on Steph's proposal, please? You're muted.
Thanks. I appreciate your rundown on those, Jamie. On Steph's, the letters of recommendation really stood out. Their past service. As far as evaluations, I've got notes and comments on each section here. A lot of it's kind of repetitive of what you had given in your rundown. The evaluations on certified quality training in their section really stood out. Their transition strategy probably put them a little bit also stood out as well. In terms of my total evaluation points, they scored very high. I was very impressed with the overall proposal in front of them. Like I said, you touched on a lot of the things that I had in my comments here, Jamie. So for the sake of time, I won't bore everyone with repeating some of those same sentiments.
Well, sorry to steal your thunder.
No,
but
no.
Know that we're on the same brainwave. Since Carol is not here, how about Erin? Are you ready to share your impressions on the proposal provided by CEFS?
Yes. I also thought that CEFS performed strongly in the evaluation. I will echo your comments and Jason's. I did think that the local presence and the infrastructure that CEFS already has in place was very strong. I thought their training section was very strong as well. Um, I thought that the letters from customers and letters from partners were really impactful. And I thought that their proportion for direct training was good. Um, one thing that I initially noticed, and it may not be significant, just in looking at those numbers for plan year 24 to plan year 25, it did seem like there was an expected decrease in the numbers served. If I'm looking at the budget correctly, my understanding is that the budget factors in some expected increases to costs, and overhead increases to salaries, increases to program operating costs. And to me, it looks like that those decreases in service levels, and they're pretty minor decreases in service levels, but those decreases in service levels were kind of a direct result of those increased costs that were projected for the next program year. So I wasn't sure exactly how they came to those numbers, but that was what I was speculating based on looking at their budget and just the change that had occurred. But in general, I thought their application was outstanding, and I thought that it was especially compelling, just the work that they already have in place. There were some areas where I thought there could be some additional information that would have been helpful, and just I don't know if this is a disclaimer or what, but I'm fairly new to the uh, WIOA LWIA 23 and working with LWIA 23. So I really tried to approach this with an open mind. I tried to approach this from a standpoint of I really wanted to evaluate the proposals on what was presented in the proposals, not any other background information I may have, but what was written in the proposals. So there may have been some areas where CEFS is doing these things already, but there were some areas where I thought it could have been explained better in the proposal that was submitted. But in general, rated them very high.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Carol just joined us. Carol, we are just giving our impressions of each of the proposals. Jason and Aaron have provided their impressions of the staff's proposal. Are you ready to give me your impressions of the staff's proposal?
Can you hear me?
Yes, just barely. That might be, I might need to do with my volume.
Hang on a second. Let me see if I can fix anything.
Can you try talking again, Carol?
How's that?
It's still not very good.
Can you hear
Let
me?
me try one more volume spot. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Sorry, guys. There's my volume. There it is. All right, try one more time for me, Carol.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Overall, Seth's proposal I thought was very, I felt very thorough. And I rated them high on, I think 90% of my scoring that I've got here. Did you have any questions in particular?
No, just what are your main highlights, your impressions? What, if you wrote any notes to the side and starred them and underlined them a few times?
Yeah, I go through it again. I apologize. I had stepped away from the computer and then came back and realized I was late.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I gotta get on the call. I felt that, let's see here, I know I wrote notes on this one page. Hang on just a second. Am I still on? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
I feel that their outreach is good. I guess I didn't write very many notes. I guess my main things were the outreach, because that's a lot of what I deal with is outreach. And so my outreach for them, I scored pretty high.
All right, thank you.
My key takeaways was the outreach and trying to get make sure that they're what do I want to say? Trying to get their numbers up for different areas, especially the youth.
All right, great, thank you. Okay, let's consider now the career team proposal. Jason, you want to start us off for career team with your impressions?
Yes, thanks, Jamie. On the career team proposal, the sections that kind of stood out that set them apart for me, financial management and costs. I think they have a very ambitious plan. The certification or certified quality training was also an area that I highlighted as where they excelled, as is the staffing and organizational chart. And their management plan as well, and their plan for service. Areas where I thought they scored a little bit lower in my rankings here was the service strategy side, and also on the transition strategy side as well.
Thank you for your thoughts. All right, Aaron, what were your impressions of the career team proposal?
So I hope this is all right, Jamie. And if this is not the direction you want to go, just let me know. But in my scoring of career team, I think it's helpful to it will be helpful to me to show some comparison between them and the other applicant. Is that all right? Because that to me highlights those differences. And so I will just start by saying that overall, I scored career team slightly lower than I scored CEFS as a whole. And so I want to explain why in the areas where I thought the differences were significant. By the way, just on the, so in the first section, the background history information, scored very comparably. Career team seems to be an outstanding organization. They seem to have a history of being successful in the work that they've done. And so I didn't have any concerns about them necessarily as an organization as a whole. Where most of my concerns came from were the areas that differed from the things that I thought really caused CEFS to stand apart. And again, it's just that the infrastructure that CEFS has, career team, I thought would have a difficult time matching that. And so, for example, in the transition, which I know Jason mentioned also, and you mentioned at the beginning, Jamie, that they have a strong transition plan, and I don't think that their transition plan is out of line. I think that it would likely be effective, and if necessary, if CEFS was just disappearing, then the transition plan would give me some confidence, right? That career team would be able to come and get something started. My concern, part of it was that their preferred transition time frame was 90 days, and of course, we're past that, and in fairness to career team, through no fault of their own, we're past that. But that being said, just the reality of this situation is that the time is not there to effectively implement their transition plan, and they may have some ways that they could pour in additional resources, maybe to make that happen. But that was a high concern for me. Another thing that kind of concerned me, and I want to make sure if I'm misunderstanding this, someone please let me know. But in reviewing their budgets and even just looking at their summary at the beginning, at first there's something that seemed especially appealing about Career Team because they project some higher numbers. Jason described them as ambitious, and I think that's fair. They and due to those higher numbers, they also um, project some lower costs per participant. And initially, to me, that's kind of eye popping in a good way. At first, I think, well, hey, um, this illustrates some efficiencies in what they're proposing to do, and that they're able to serve more individuals, or they're proposing to serve more individuals at a lower cost. But then, as I delve into that a little deeper, it actually gives me some concern. And so I want to explain. And again, if I'm misunderstanding, let me know. And I don't want to take a ton of time here, Jamie, but if you'll allow me. So you had mentioned, their proportion of direct service training there. When I look at their overall plan for the direct training, um, it is significantly less than CEFS. And so their overhead costs are higher. And what I'm seeing is that when we look at higher numbers of people served with a lower overall total funding for serving those individuals, what that means to me is actually fewer dollars per participant spent on the participant, which, if our goal is to help individuals, then I don't necessarily see that as a positive. I understand the performance measures are complex, and if somebody gets employment, what does it matter if it costs 3,000 versus 7,000 to get them employed? But what I'm seeing is, to me, it looks like CEFS is able to provide more indirect support to the individuals that they serve overall. So that stood out to me as well. Um, I didn't have any qualms about management, or their ideas for staffing. Um, but in terms of their partnerships, and I know they have some proven performance in other states, which I would like to hope would translate into, strong performance in the state of Illinois. And I don't necessarily doubt that. It's just that um, it was hard for me to score that the same as what I was able to score CEFS, because CEFS does have proven performance in the state of Illinois in LWIA 23 with a huge network of established partners, with um, with the existing staff in place, and so and an existing experience with the state's interfaces and the Illinois WorkNet. And so it's not that I think that Career Team could not build those same capacities. It's just that CEFS already seemed to have them extremely well built. And so that's why I was able to rate CEFS more highly than I was Career Team. I don't think Career Team scored poorly. And again, if they were the only option, I would be comfortable in saying, hey, I'm confident that they could do this work. I just am not confident that they could do the work as well or better than CEFS is proposing to do it.
Thank you, Aaron. Those are very thorough insights. And as you were talking, the word equity popped into my mind, that yes, we could serve more people, but are we serving them equitably if we're not ensuring that they have all of the resources that they need, if they're minimizing the cost per participant? So
And if you'll let me say one more thing, just because I wanted to point this out, that I did really appreciate Career Team's. I thought that they had laid out some good ideas for how they have been innovative in the past. I thought that their use of technology and recognizing that the world is more mobile and technology focused. I thought that some of their strategies seemed like really good ideas, and I just wanted to point out that I was impressed by that in their proposal.
Thank you. Carol, what impressions did you have of Career Team's proposal?
Okay, I shouldn't have went last because I completely agree with Aaron. Can you not hear me? I see you using.
I can hear you. Yeah, it's just really low on our speaker in here.
I completely agree. I did score them just a smidgen less than CEFS. Not a drastic margin by any means. However, I have those same concerns and the timing timing to get things going and what would happen in the meantime to all the people that we are serving. And would we be losing, how do I want to say that? Is it going to look bad to the public, the customers that are wanting to get these services? And if it's taking, a longer timeline, how is that affecting the WIOA and the customers?
Very good point. Thank you. Any other thoughts?
Otherwise, I think Aaron did an exceptional job of explaining exactly what I was thinking.
Aaron did a wonderful job. He did sum up a lot of my thoughts as well. I think Career Team is, when I read their proposal, that was all the things that I had envisioned for LWIA 23 right there in a pretty package with someone who's had the experience to implement it, ready to go. I would love to see that type of innovation, that modernization come to our region. However, one of the key tenets of our board is to maximize the amount of direct training. And while the budgets do show that Career Team would not put us out of compliance with the 50% direct training, they are maximizing the overhead at that 50% rate. And CEFS makes it a point to, across all three funding streams, to ensure that we maximize the amount going to direct training and try to minimize overhead as much as possible. And that cannot be ignored. So from our discussion, I feel like we should now ask each of the subcommittee members to give their final recommendation. So Jason, I'll start with you. What's your final recommendation for the the service provider for WIOA Title I services?
Thanks, Jamie. So between the two, and I think both proposals, it's nice that I think it was a great thing that we did have two to compare. Just as Aaron and Carol both stated a few minutes ago, I did rate CEFS a little bit higher than I rated Career Teams. A lot of it had to do with the transitioning, and also the direct support as was mentioned. So my recommendation to the LWIA board is to go with CEFS.
Thank you. Carol, what is your final recommendation?
My final recommendation is to go with CEFS, and that is based on my scoring and the comments.
Okay, I heard CEFS and then it trailed off. Can you repeat the last part again?
Yes, I am recommending CEFS. Hopefully I'm not trailing off still.
No, I got that. Thank you. Aaron, please state your final recommendation.
Yes, my final recommendation for the WIOA title contract.
No way. Okay, Aaron, you glitched out and I didn't get any of that. Can you do it one more time
I'm
for me?
so sorry. Let me do that one more time. My final recommendation for the WIOA Title I Services Contract for LWIA 23 would be CEFS. Did you get me there?
I got you. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Yes.
So before we move to agenda item 4 of voting, I just want to thank you all for your thoughtful deliberation and engagement throughout the process. Thank you for your flexibility and understanding as we navigated making sure that this process was in alignment with all of the required regulations and policies, and that was open and transparent. The subcommittee does sound like has reached a final decision for the service provider after weighing the merits of both proposals against the criteria and considering compliance, service quality, performance outcomes, and equity, financial stewardship. It does sound like CEFS has been selected as the preferred candidate for the WIOA Title I Service Provider contract for July 2024 to June of 2027. So thank you. We extend our gratitude to all of you, of course. Thank you for your participation and your contributions. And Jason, if you would like to move on to agenda item 4, and we can take a vote.
Okay, so at this time, I need a motion to send a recommendation to the Planning and Oversight Committee.
So moved.
I have a motion from Aaron. Aaron, that motion is to recommend CFS as the service provider, correct?
Yes, that is correct, sir.
Okay. And I need a second on that.
I'll second.
Okay. All committee members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I myself, Carol,
Sorry. Could you not hear me?
any opposed? All right, so the recommendation will be sent to the Planning and Oversight Committee. I believe that meeting is on Thursday. Is that correct, Jamie?
Thursday at noon via Zoom. And if anyone would like to join us at Lakeland for the in-person version, we'll meet here as well.
Okay. At this time, we'll move on to item number 5, which is public comment. I know we have some other individuals on. If anyone at this time would like to make a comment. All right, hearing none, we'll move on. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the subcommittee meeting.
I move to adjourn the subcommittee meeting.
I have a motion from Aaron. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Carol, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Aye.
subcommittee stands adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all kindly. Have a wonderful day.
Too.